Sigoni, Sigoni, how's your macaroni?
Hey guys, and welcome back to the Beginner Washcloth Series. Today we're going to cover the pretty half double crochet washcloth, and it is the third of 5 washcloths in this series. If you haven't heard, I put together this washcloth series to give you a way to practice the basic stitches while also coming away with something valuable. By crocheting the pretty half double crochet washcloth, you'll be practicing the half double crochet as well as working in chain spaces and not through the actual stitch. You will also learn how to create the half double crochet V-stitch, which as you can tell is a gorgeous stitch. Last week we learned how to crochet the basic shell stitch washcloth, and the week before that we learned how to crochet the treble pop washcloth. So if you're interested in creating another washcloth from this series, check out the links in the description box below. Alright, I think we're about ready to get started. For this tutorial you will need 1 ball of Lion Brand's Re-Up yarn, a 5mm crochet hook, a pair of scissors, and a tapestry needle. Whenever you're creating your chains, make sure that they're not too tight. Because of the stitch we'll be working in this pattern, it tends to curl up a little bit if your stitches are too tight. So when you're working your foundation chain, try to make your stitches just a little bit more loose than normal. So I'm just going to pull up a little bit as I chain. So go ahead and create a chain of 36. All right, so we just made a chain of 36 and we just made our stitches a little bit more loose than we usually do. Now the first thing that we're going to do is yarn over your hook and half double crochet into that 4th chain from your hook. So remember that I'm using US terms, so a half double crochet in the US is a half treble in the UK. So we're going to yarn over our hook and insert your hook into that 4th chain from your hook. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So insert your hook into that 4th chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, and you'll have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, and pull through all 3 loops. Now we're going to chain 1 and half double crochet into that same chain. So we're inserting our hook into that same chain and pull through all 3 loops. Now skip the next chain and we're going to half double crochet, chain 1, half double crochet all into the next chain. So skip this one, yarn over, insert your hook into that next chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, you'll have 3 loops, yarn over, pull through all 3. Now chain 1 and then half double crochet into that same space, into that same chain. And there, so this is called the half double crochet V-stitch. So we have our first 2 half double crochet V-stitches here, and we're just going to repeat this down the row. Skip the next chain and half double crochet V-stitch in the next. So half double crochet, chain 1, half double crochet into that same chain, and there you go. Skip the next chain, half double crochet, chain 1, half double crochet. And I'm just going to continue down the row. Don't worry about these big holes right here. They will go away as soon as we're done with row 1. So I'll show you once we reach the end of the row. And if your work is starting to curl like this, we're just going to straighten it out once we're done. It's really easy to straighten out, so don't worry about the curling. Okay, and now we're going to stop once we reach the last 2 chains. So I have 2 chains left. I'm going to skip the next stitch and half double crochet into that last chain. All right, so if your work currently looks like this, It's just because when we're working into our foundation chain, the half double crochet V-stitch makes it look a little bit tighter, but really all you have to do is straighten out your row. This is why we had to chain a little bit more loosely in the beginning. And all you have to do is straighten it out and you're good to go. And the more you work, the better it will look. Now for row 2, we're going to chain 2. So 1, 2, and turn your work. And this chain 2 counts as a stitch. Now yarn over. We're going to continue our half double crochet V-stitches, but this time we're going to be working into the center of our V, so into that chain 1 space that we created. So yarn over, insert your hook into that chain 1 space, yarn over, pull up a loop. You'll have 3 loops and we're just creating that half double crochet. Now chain 1 and half double crochet into that same space. And there's your first half double crochet V-stitch. Now we're going to skip the next 2 half double crochets and work another V-stitch into this chain 1 space here. So yarn over, insert your hook into that space. And there's your first 2 V-stitches. So they're right in between the 2 half double crochets from the previous round. Now just continue placing a half double crochet V-stitch in each chain 1 space across. All right, and this is my last half double crochet V-stitch here. When we placed our first half double crochet into the 4th chain from the hook from the first row, that 3rd chain at the bottom counted as a skipped chain. And then this chain at the top counted as a chain 1. So we're going to be skipping this half double crochet and this chain 1 and half double crocheting into that top chain 2. I hope that makes sense. But this is the only time you'll have to worry about that. All right, so this is row number 2, and if you still find that your work is starting to curl, you can straighten it out like this. As I said, the more you work, or the more rows that you work, the less, or the more it's going to straighten out. So it shouldn't be, so you shouldn't worry too much about it, but if it looks like it's curving a lot like this, then I suggest going up a hook size, so up to a 5.5 millimeter hook, just for the chain, and then switch back to a 5 millimeter hook for the rest of the pattern. Okay, so for row 3, we're going to chain 2 and turn our work, and this is basically the same as row 2. So you're going to chain 2 and create a half double crochet V-stitch into that first chain 1 space here. So right in between those half double crochets. Chain 1, half double crochet into the same space. Now half double crochet V-stitch into the next chain. So we're skipping these 2 half double crochets and moving into the next chain 1 space. Continue creating half double crochet V-stitches in every chain 1 space across the row, and I'll meet you at the end of the row. All right, and once you've reached the end of the row, you'll have this chain 2 from the previous row, and we're going to skip this half double crochet here and half double crochet into that top chain 2. So here's the chain 1. If you can see that here, here's the chain 1, and then here is our chain 2. So we're going to half double crochet into that top chain. All right, so you can see that we skipped our half double crochet here and we just worked into that top chain. So I just wanted to show you that. And now for rows 4 through 26, we're going to repeat row 3. All right, so I've reached the end of the row and I'm just going to skip that last stitch and half double crochet into the top of the chain 2. To tie off your work, just take some scissors, snip it a couple inches, yarn over, and pull that yarn all the way through. And pull it tight to make that knot. And you guys, look how gorgeous this stitch is. This is one of my favorite stitches and it's so simple. And of course you can make this washcloth longer if you'd like. You can make it wider. Just make sure you start with an even amount of chains. Now again, all that's left to do is weave in our ends. And again, thank you so much for joining in on the Beginner Washcloth Series. This is number 3 of the 5 washcloths that I'll be releasing in this series. And as you know already, the reason why I put this together was to help you practice the basic stitches while also coming away with something valuable. In this case, you practiced the half double crochet stitch, and you also learned the half double crochet V-stitch. And you might not know this, but sometimes a pattern will tell you to crochet loosely for the beginning chain. So I kind of wanted you to experience that firsthand before coming across that in a future pattern. And that's it for today's pretty half double crochet washcloth. If you want to see the rest of the washcloths in this series, I've included it in the description box below. And if you're ready for next week's washcloth, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss it. I'll see you next time.